All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we are diving deep into an ancient text that, believe it or not, has a shockingly modern take on life, death, and, well, the whole point of it all. So let's just jump right into this, because it sounds a little dark at first. We're going to be guided by this ancient philosopher, a guy known as Kohelet. He's the author of Ecclesiastes. And this guy was, let's just say, obsessed with the fact that we're all going to die. But his journey to figure out what that means for us, it's absolutely fascinating. You see, Kohelet was wrestling with this huge, fundamental problem, and it's this. The second we're born, we're on this one-way street straight to the grave. There's no getting around it, and he saw this truth everywhere he looked. And that led him to this massive question. It's a question that drove him to just observe life as it is. Under the sun. That's the phrase he uses over and over. He's looking for any kind of lasting meaning, any real advantage to being wise or good or rich. And honestly, his initial findings were pretty grim. Because what he saw right off the bat is that death is the great equalizer. It's the ultimate level playing field. It doesn't care if you're wise or foolish, rich or poor, or what your status is. Everybody is heading to the exact same destination. And you can really feel his frustration here. I mean, think about it. He looks at the wise person who, has their life all figured out, and then he looks at the fool who's just stumbling through life. And his conclusion? It doesn't matter. The same fate gets them both. They die. End of story. He even takes it a step further. From a purely physical, under-the-sun perspective, he's like, what's the real difference between us and animals? We both breathe, we both live, and then we both return to dust. So he's asking, what's our big advantage here, really? And oh, don't even get him started on wealth. His point is just as brutal. You can spend your whole life piling up treasure, losing sleep over it, and for what? You can't take a single thing with you. It's like he says, you come into the world with nothing, and you leave with nothing. So you see the pattern, right? This common destiny, the grave. It's coming for every single one of us. Nobody gets a pass. And you can tell this inescapable fact is just eating him up inside. It's a source of some serious angst for him. Now, this final destination, he calls it Sheol. It's important to understand what he means by that. It's not like a fiery hell, a place of punishment. No, it's worse in a way. It's a place of nothing, an existence where all the things that make life, working, planning, knowledge, wisdom, they're just gone. It's absolute emptiness. Okay, so after all that, it's pretty bleak, right? A totally hopeless picture. You'd expect his big takeaway to be just, well, give up. But this is where the whole thing takes this incredible, unexpected turn. So what's his advice? To just throw in the towel? Nope, not at all. He does a complete 180. He does this radical turn that reframes his entire investigation, and his answer is something else entirely. And the key to this whole pivot is one single Hebrew word, hevel. It means something like vapor, or smoke, or mist. It's this idea that life under the sun is fleeting, it's temporary. And because it's hevel, because it's just a puff of smoke, that means our whole perspective on how to live has to change. And this right here is the absolute core of his wisdom. He argues that the fact that death is final, well, that isn't a reason to despair. It's the opposite. It's the ultimate motivation to live as fully as you can, right here, right now. What an image, right? He's basically saying that as long as you're alive, as long as you're breathing, you have hope. You have possibility. Even the most insignificant living thing has more going for it than the most powerful, magnificent thing that's already dead. This whole realization leads him to what scholars call his enjoy life refrain. He says it 7 times in the book, so you know it's important. And it's so practical. He's basically commanding us to find real joy in the simple, present gifts we have right in front of us. Good food, a drink, the people you love, and work that feels meaningful. And you see the connection he's making? It's brilliant. The knowledge that a future is coming, Sheol, where you can't do anything, where there's no work or planning or love, well, that knowledge should drive you to pour every ounce of your energy into doing those things today. But hold on, this isn't just a simple eat, drink, and be merry for tomorrow we die kind of thing. It's not hedonism. Kohelet adds one final super profound layer to his wisdom that gives it some serious weight. He says, look, you need a sober-minded approach. Yeah, enjoy life, absolutely. but do it while remembering your Creator. He brings in this idea of ultimate accountability, this sense that what we do in this fleeting, hevel life actually matters, that it has some kind of eternal significance. And this is how he wraps it all up. It's this powerful, maybe a little veiled, hint that, in the end, God's going to sort it all out. He will bring every single deed to judgment and finally make sense of this crazy, hevel world where, let's be honest, so much seems unfair and meaningless. And so here we are. Kohelet's ancient existential crisis brings us right back to the most important question there is. It's a question for all of us. Knowing that life is just a fleeting vapor, what are you going to do with your now?